Hello, hello. So today we're going to be looking at popover and dialog, what they are, and more importantly, does it email? Popover and dialog are new features in HTML. So here we've got the MDM page for popover. It's a new global attribute. Dialog's been around a little bit longer, but we've not been able to use it due to the need for JavaScript. However, what's exciting is this new command and command for attributes that can be set on a button. This means that we can actually trigger dialog ourselves without the use of JavaScript. So let's take a look at a code sample. So here we have a popover button and some popover content, and then a dialog button and some dialog content. So the first thing we want to do is we want to hide our popover content so it's not showing by default. So to do this, we just add the popover attribute onto the div, and the content disappears. So next we need to put the popover target attribute on, and then we set this to be the same value as the ID of our popover content. So this is my popover, and I put that in there, and when I click the button, there we go, the popover content shows. Then I can click outside of that and it hides. I can even open it and then use the escape key to hide the content as well. Also, we could add a close button directly inside our popover content. So let's just copy this button code here and then paste that inside. And when I click that, it closes the content. That's because these act as toggle buttons. So just toggle on and off. But we can also set this to have a popover target action of open. And then for the close button, we'll set a popover target action of close. And then these are just single function buttons of open and close. And then for our dialog, we'll just replace our div element with a dialog element, and then that will hide the content for us. And then on the button, we add a command, and this is going to show modal. So this will show the modal, and then also we need to set the command for to link it to the dialog content. So again, this is using the ID of our content and pasting that inside the command for. So that's linking the button to the dialog. So we open that. With dialog, you can't just click anywhere to close. However, you can still use the escape key. Here we definitely need a button inside it. So let's do the same again, and we'll copy and paste this button code. And then we change the command to close. So now we can open it and close it. So we can also use the command for and command on the popover. So we can replace our popover target with command for and then set our command to be show popover. Then that will work as well. As it stands, popover target and popover target action have better support than command for and command in terms of popovers. That's because that was the original spec, and the newer spec was the command is replacing popover target. So both popover and dialog look quite similar at first glance, but what's the difference? So popover is more of a UI feature. This is something that's going to be hidden by default and then click more information. Whereas dialog is a bit more, it's more of an interruption. It's an alert. It's saying stop everything, focus on this for the minute. So that's something that we'd more use on the web rather than in email, because we're going to want full support for that. If we want to alert, we want to block something, we want to make sure it's supported everywhere. So we'd probably do that on the landing page rather than in the email. But let's have a look at a couple of examples. I think dialog is a tough one. I can't really think of a good use case for dialog at the moment. But anyway, here is a dialog to show how it works. So here we've got an email and we've got this button, buy beer. And if I click on that, we get the dialog pop up. It's saying, are you over 18 years of age? If I click yes, it takes me through to the website. If I click no, it closes the dialog and just leaves me in the email. This is that alert, that interruption that's blocking me from taking action until I confirm. But again, this is probably best done on the landing page instead. Next, for a popover example, here I've got a load of speakers from a conference we did at the start of the year. Now, if I click on one, here's me, and we can see a bit more information about the speaker. You can also see that the background has gone a bit darker and it's also blurred as well. So here we're using the backdrop pseudo element. So when a popover is created, it automatically has this backdrop to it, and we can style that how we want. So here I've put a semi-transparent background color, and I'm also using a backdrop filter of blur to just blur the background a little. They also have this animation on open and close, and this is done using the popover-open pseudo class and applying a CSS transition to that. One of the big advantages we have with popover compared to some of the hacky CSS stuff we've done in the past for interactive email is it's built for the job it's doing. So it just works. And that means accessibility is pretty good too. So here with the popover, if I'm just using the tab key, you can see I can navigate across easily enough and then Shift Tab to move backwards. Hit the space bar and the pop-up will open. Hit Tab again and the focus is directly inside the pop-up there, so I can close it easily enough. And then onto the next one, open, tab, and close. Now here I have my screen reader open, so let's navigate through the buttons.
Mark Robbins, collapsed, button, group. You are currently on a button, group. To click this button, press Control, Option, Space.
Then we can click to open it.
Mark Robbins, expanded, button, group.
And it will tell us it has expanded. However, unlike with tabs, it doesn't automatically focus into the pop-up.
Molly Avola, collapsed, Mark Robbins, Indiana Patch, collapsed, Mark Robbins, expanded, button, group.
This is because of the content order. I have all my buttons at the top of the email, then all my popover content below that. So the fix is just to move that content directly after the button.
Mark Robbins, collapsed, button. Mark Robbins, expanded, button. Heading level 2, Mark Robbins. Close pop-up, button.
So when we look again now, we can see that we are taken directly into the correct content. So if we compare this sort of new default HTML interactivity with some of the more traditional things that we've used in email before, some of the hacky stuff like the checkbox or radio buttons. The key thing here is the native accessibility, and that's mostly around the state management. So when we click the button, as we saw with the screen reader, it says it's whether it's expanded or collapsed. That's something we can't manage with CSS alone. Another thing is the keyboard accessibility. So being able to close it with an escape key is an accessibility requirement. And really the main thing here is this is semantic code. We're using the right tool for the right job. We're not hacking, we're not using things for the unintended purpose. This is where things can go wrong, particularly in terms of accessibility. So in terms of support across email clients, there is a bit, but what's good here is if the popover attribute gets removed, then that content is no longer hidden. And generally that's probably what we want. We want to have that content available for everybody, but for some people it's hidden by default with the option to show it. For others, it'll just show all the time. So when that popover attribute gets removed, we just see the content. Now, if the button doesn't work, but the popover attribute does, then the content will be hidden and we can't click to open it. So in this case, we can just set the popover to be display block and that will show. Related to that, Proton Mail, Webmail, sets the popover content to be display block by default, but it does support the button. We do have that popover feature that we can use. So to make it work there, we need to set it to display revert, so it does hide it initially and then lets us control that with the button. So if we are going to use this, there's a little bit of fine tuning that needs doing, a little bit of testing, a little bit of experimenting just to get it right and working in the best way we can across as many email clients as we can. Thanks a lot for watching. Let me know how you get on. Do you want to play around with this? Do you have a good use case for something like this? How would you use it? Any issues that you hit as you're experimenting with this? Let us know in the comments and I'll see you next time. Thanks a lot. Bye.